Hello, everyone, especially you physical media, movie, and TV fans. I have a few new additions to our collection to go over. I recently had a birthday, and one of the things I got was an eBay gift card, so I used that to knock a few things off the wish list for the movie and TV collections. Starting off with a classic 60s comedy, we have Mr. Hobbs Takes a Vacation. I've always been a sucker for any of those family goes on vacation, a little bit of insanity ensues, and dad kind of goes nuts through the whole thing. I always love those, especially the 80s and very early 90s had a lot of those. This is an earlier one with one of my favorite actors, with James Stewart, and Maureen O'Hara was a perfect choice to play his wife in this. It's a very endearing, sweet, funny look with a little less zany than something like National Lampoon's Vacation. It's a little more toned down than that. It's a very different style, but that sort of vibe, if you like those kind of movies and you've not checked this out, it's a stellar cast and really just plays out wonderfully. It's a very enjoyable movie. And next we have a few TV releases. Season 1 of Early Edition. Early Edition was one of those kind of comfort shows that you'd see reruns of during the weekends or daytime TV if you're homesick, alongside shows like Matlock and Murder, She Wrote and Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. There was those handful of shows, Diagnosis Murder, that's kind of how I saw them. And Early Edition has an interesting premise that for me was kind of a one season premise. I just really wasn't a fan of catching later seasons. It ran dry a little bit for me, but the whole idea, it says on the back here, what if you could change the future? What would you do if you knew tomorrow's news today? It's about a man who mysteriously starts getting, seemingly delivered by this cat, tomorrow's newspaper, and you can use that information to help solve crimes, prevent people's deaths, prevent disasters, anything along those lines. And it's definitely a tale of morality, because he can, of course, be drawn into using that information to manipulate things for his own desires, his own wealth. He could be rich, and he toys a little bit with that in the pilot. And he has two friends that really also pull into this morality tale issue, because one, she is clearly constantly pulling for what is right and self-sacrificing, and then there's another friend who's more like, you should do the sports betting, why not be a millionaire and take care of yourself too, along with taking care of other people. It's just kind of an interesting show from the 90s that for me has a great first season, but then its premise kind of it runs a little thin after that. So really happy to get the first season release, and thankfully it includes episode promos, which is always great. I love when they include that. It just kind of takes you back a little bit in watching those. And then a couple of releases from an earlier decade. We have season 1 of Flipper as the last volume of Flipper that I needed to grab. This was one of those shows from my childhood. I grew up watching a lot of 60s TV. It was really 90s shows, as they were airing during that decade, and then the reruns that I would catch on different programs, Nick at Night or Late Sci-Fi Channel, whatever, was almost always like 60s TV. So we have season 1 of Flipper, and then my favorite season, of the early episodes, this cool, very shimmery case of My Favorite Martian, this Rhino home video Retrovision release. There's been a couple different releases, and I just like this one with this kind of shimmery cover and everything. But I really liked the first season in particular of My Favorite Martian. I just really like the humor. For some reason with this kind of a show, I like the black and white better than the colorized or the color, episodes. So the great set with 37 episodes. It's amazing. Now, a season of a show is like 8 episodes. But then the fantastic and some special features. So this is a nice set from Rhino. And the very last release, we have the other Whose Line Is It Anyway DVD release that I wanted to grab. There have been very few of these. It's really just the first season of the American version of Whose Line Is It Anyway, and a best of collection. I think they also did a censored version for some of these. I'm not sure about the seasons, but I think the best of might have both. I'm not sure, but of course I always try and go with the uncensored. But Season 1, Volume 2 of Whose Line Is It Anyway? This is just one of those shows that was really super popular for a short period of time. It went on, and of course has come back now with Aisha Tyler, I think is her name, in place of Drew Carey, and different variations over the years. But those first season or so, really, of the American version of Whose Line is the one that we would always kind of watch as a family. It was one of those very big, for a short period of time, family shows, and then we all just kind of stopped watching, and everyone I knew kind of stopped watching. It was another one of those things that there were a constant barrage of shows where it would come on, and like the first season of Survivor, everyone I knew watched that first season. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like everyone I knew watched that first season. There were all these shows, and then it just seemed like no one seemed to care. And then the next year was a different show that was that show of the year. And the first season or two of Whose Line was just something that everyone I knew seemed to check out, and was a kind of a family staple for a bit. And really love them in particular. Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery, the two of them for me have always been, Colin probably be my favorite overall, but they have the holy trinity here, and then you always have the rotating kind of fourth chair. Greg's really good, a bunch of different good people over time, but with Ray and Brady, like those three kind of really sold the whole thing. And so that's a look at a few releases added to the media collection. I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of these if you had seen any of them before, and I think they're all ones worth checking out if you find the premise of any of them interesting. And if you like these kind of videos, make sure you check out the next one coming out very soon in relation to this. I wanted to separate two very recent Blu-ray releases that I think, at least for me, are very big deal releases.